Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
Maple Leafs fans, it has been a great week for me on vacation. It has been a great week for the Toronto Powerplay while I've been on vacation, but we're finishing off the week on a high point, winning 3-1 over the Detroit Red Wings. Welcome to Game Over Toronto. I am your host tonight, Lauren Williamson. On the other hand, wonderful side of the screen, we have Dominic in what is arguably one of my favorite Toronto fan hats ever. Dom, that was a very good win from Toronto. We have unfortunately started the monkey paw curse where we wanted more power play goals and the monkey fist closed one finger down and we can't seem to score a 5-on-5. But how did you feel about tonight? How did you feel about the power play connecting some more and the rest of the week? How are you feeling at the end of the week, man?
I'm feeling great. I realized as the game was ending and I was thinking about, what are we going to talk about? I realized I haven't been on for a win since the Tampa game. I have missed the wins and been here for the losses. So I was very happy to see them, connect for two more power play goals after scoring 3 in Boston. They haven't. All of their goals have either been empty netters or power play goals since in these last 2 games, which is incredible. Keep scoring on the power play. That's fine. That's what we've been begging and pleading for them to do, and now they're doing it. So keep at it. And yeah, this was just a low event game, but there was still several just sort of fun moments, whether it was the goals, whether it was Anthony Stolarz picking the puck up with his bare hand, which I don't think I've ever seen a goalie do that. That was wild. And the most wholesome moment of it all, the shot they had of Joseph Woll reacting to that, asking him, what did you do? And then covering his mouth with his glove hand to giggle. I think, Joseph Woll has been a little hit and miss to start the season, but he is still a beloved member of this team, I think, because how much more wholesome can you get? So happy to be back, happy to finally be here for a win, and looking forward to getting into this.
Yeah, it's funny because to start the season, we had the one game to start off, and then I think I had one win, and then I want to say like 4 games in a row where it was like loss, and I felt like I was screaming into the void. And then the last 3 games that I've covered, are you ready for this? The three win heater that I'm on here on Game Over was Leafs versus the Jets.
Yeah.
Which was great. And then the Leafs beating the Kraken 4-1 last Thursday. And then tonight winning 3-1 against Detroit. So it's been a good week in Lauren land. This time last week I was eating barbecue in Chicago, and tonight I get to watch the Leafs kick the Detroit Red Wings in the win column. It was honestly pretty measured game back and forth all night. It didn't really seem like between the special teams appearances either team could really get anything going, save for that one possession to start the third period off for the Leafs, where it was basically 3 minutes where we hemmed in the Red Wings. That was a good game going back and forth, like I said. And yeah, I think when Stolarz ends up leading us to the cup and we resign him and he retires and leave, and his statue is built, it will be him holding the puck like that. What a badass moment, man! Holy.
Yeah, we went from worrying, does this guy drop his stick too much? Does he, is he a little too careless with that?
Don't even give him a stick.
Yeah, to realizing he doesn't even need equipment. At this point, he's just happy. He's happy to pick it up with his bare hand. I still am in awe of that moment because it's just wild. You don't see goalies do that. You don't see anybody do that. So pretty good stuff. But yeah, the game overall, it was. I was thinking about it as it was happening. I'm like, I'm not seeing anything really that I don't like. I'm seeing there are elements that I do like, but there's nothing here that that I feel like I can really pick at and go, that was bad, which I think is a good sign for a 3-1 win, right? Like that's about what you want. Are there things you wish they did better? Sure. They didn't get a ton, like you were saying, a ton of opportunities on 5-on-5 again, with the exception of that terrific third and fourth line shift where the Red Wings were on the ice. Those players were on the ice for over 2 minutes, which anytime you can accomplish that, it's a good thing. And the fact that it was, Pontus Holmberg, Bobby McMahon, Nick Robertson, Ryan Reeves, Steven Lorentz and David Kampf who did that. It's just like it makes it all the sweeter. Just makes it all the sweeter that they were able to accomplish that. Even though maybe you wish that Nylander and Marner had been out there to maybe put something in the net, but still, I was happy to see it go. And almost a Tavares hat trick. You can kind of.
I wrote it
maybe
down.
Maybe it was. Maybe it was. Who knows? Like, maybe we'll find out tomorrow. It actually was a hat trick. In which case, I don't know. Do we all show up at practice and throw our hats at him? Or
As
I guess
he's
they're
driving
playing
into Ford Performance Center, just throw your hat.
Yeah. Well, I guess they're playing tomorrow. Although that's in Montreal. But if he could just show up just as soon as he takes the ice and warm up, everybody throws their hat. That'd be a nice gesture. But
let's just all wait at the end of the runway at Pearson and throw hats up at the plane.
Yeah, and hope none of them wind up in the engine of the plane.
Yeah, I'm sure I wouldn't. I'm sure that the Secret Service wouldn't just show up and to a bunch of people at an airport. Yeah, man, it was a really good game. Like you said, there's not a whole lot that we can pick at and pick through. If I could change anything in this game, I selfishly would like to say the Nick Robertson goal to start us off that was called off. But honestly, like that Mitch Marner bat out of the air would be a hard one to turn over too, man. Like that was a really good opportunity. Yeah. So
the Robertson goal, like the right call was made. He got bumped.
Yeah.
But
yep.
Like,
I don't
really,
like it.
Really, if he hadn't been lightly bumped by McMahon there, was he gonna make that save? Come on, Talbot. Come on. In your heart of hearts, in your soul, that was going in regardless. The right call was made. He was bumped. Them's the rules. Them's the breaks. Fair enough.
Them's the rules.
But
yeah,
that should have been a goal. I wanted that for McMahon and Robertson. And the two of them, you look for positives. I thought the two of them played pretty well tonight. They were all over the ice. They created some opportunities. They got a goal that didn't count, but they could have. They put themselves in positions where they could have gotten more. Robertson did have a moment where he, maybe made a move in the neutral zone that he shouldn't have when the defense were going to change. But aside from that, and nothing bad happened there. He did hold on to the puck. He is a good player. Aside from that, you can't really pick at anything that those guys did wrong. And if anything, they were generating some opportunities, some offense, and at least applying some pressure to this game where there wasn't a ton of pressure.
Yeah, it's funny. Like the big guys get it done on the special teams, and then the bottom six manage the rest of the game essentially in terms of like actual opportunities and chances that led to scoring chances for the Leafs. Like that, the bottom six doing what they did to start off that third period was just. I mean, it was just wave after wave. You could see that by the end of it, the Red Wings were just absolutely gassed. And that's the wicked thing about when you have lines that are all of a sudden gelling really well. Like I do wish Nick Robertson had gotten that goal tonight. Like I think he's only got one so far to start the year, and he had 5 in the 5 preseason games. So we were all hoping that it would translate a little bit more, and so things like that, you want him to get rewarded because he does work so hard every shift. He skates his ass off anytime his blades are on the ice. He is never lackadaisical. He's never, if he's caught flat-footed, it's because he didn't make a good read. That happens, but it's never lack of effort. It's never lack of gusto. No. It's never lack of give a crapness, right? He's always trying to do his best for the team while he's on the ice at all times. And the bottom six were really able to do that tonight. And even like Ryan Reeves almost had that breakaway opportunity in the third period, and it was saved. But to some degree, we were all kind of expecting, and while he has to some degree, Ryan Reeves to take a step back. He's been pretty okay. Maybe not for the price tag that he's making, but he's been fine. He hasn't been a defensive liability. He's not. If anything, when they're on the ice, it's more than likely in the other team's end. Like he doesn't play a lot in his own net. Now, is that going to be exposed later on down the line? Well, that remains to be seen. But for right now, that bottom six is going as well as it could, and the top power play is going too.
Yeah, and Reeves last year, at the start of last year, before he got hurt,
Mm-hmm.
he was by and large unusable.
Yeah.
Since he came back from that injury and since he kind of forced their hand to come back, he has served his purpose. He has been there to, stand up and fight when needed, but he has, he's been there to lay some hits, create some energy. And like you said, he hasn't been a complete liability. If anything, they've put him in situations where he can succeed. And you feel like there's, opportunities to maybe build on that, or maybe that's all you're going to get. But if that's all you're going to get, if it looks like that, again, like that shift to start the third where they're hemming them in, you can't really complain.
Yeah. And they cycle it, right? Like that whole line was not even just able to hold the zone and like play keep away, but they were creating opportunity and creating rebounds and getting to the pucks again first. It really seems like that the bottom, I would say the bottom line specifically, is flourishing under Craig Berube and his style of play, where he wants them to forecheck, he wants them to finish every check every time, he wants them to get into the corners, he wants them to not only dump but chase and push upon the dump. That sounds awful, but he's not just dump and chase and hope you get in there first. He's dump, get after it, and lay the body before the other guy gets to it, and make them hesitate to pick up the puck, right? And so the bottom line seems to be doing really well, and they don't get rewarded tonight, unfortunately, but that bottom six has clicked pretty well. They clicked at the beginning of the season to start out too, right? Like we're already at game 15, which seems wild. But I don't worry about the bottom six the way that we have worried about the bottom six in years past.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole team tonight, it felt like a complete team effort, bottom six, top six. And, the Leafs are second in the Atlantic right now. And in this game looked like an effort from a team that's second in their division. Now, we want them to push forward to be first in their division, but considering where we were feeling a couple weeks ago,
1 week
where
ago.
it felt like, 1 week ago, where it felt like they might be, about to enter into a free fall and fall into the bottom half of the division. Then again, 15 games, not that many games out of, the grand span of the season. But, comparatively, this feels like a much better place to be. And if the season ends with you in second place in the division, that's still a pretty successful season. Again, we want them to strive for more. We expect more from them. But this was, I think, an appropriate effort for this game.
Yeah, they showed up the way we want them to in a Atlantic game, right? And we know that they will show up against very good teams. Look at how they show up against the Jets. They are still the only team that has handed the Jets a loss so far this season. How do you like that, Brady?
That's one of my favorite stats of this year, is that the Jets are undefeated except for the Leafs. It's love that. Love that so much.
Smells like happiness. Do you smell that? Oh man, it could just be the icebreaker sours that I bought in the States. But no, man, that's like, I think even if we rewind a week and the only thing that changed between now and then is how the power play has all of a sudden decided that it's alive. I have James Myrtle's tweet right in front of me. Last week, 2nd of November, tweeted at 8:58 p.m. Leafs power play down to a putrid 8.3 on the season. Hard to believe that's even possible. And then tonight, an hour ago, he tweets out, a week later, the Leafs power play is up to 18.4%.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, they were 2 for 2 tonight. There were so many penalties in the Boston game.
Oh my
that,
God.
Like, these can't really. But 3 for 7.
Yeah.
So, but like, if you just go 5 for 9, that's an elite power play.
Yeah.
That's what we expect from this power play with this level of talent. And we haven't even mentioned the fact that the best player, the captain, is not on this team right now. He's hurt. He's out for the next little while. Apparently, all it took for the Leafs power play to fix their woes was to get rid of the best one. Which doesn't make any sense. And hopefully when Auston comes back next week, he can just slot back in and they'll just pick up, where they've been and just keep rolling with him in there and keep this momentum going.
Well,
But
and
it's one of those
let me stop you,
backwards
Dom.
things about
Let me
the
stop you,
Leafs.
Dom.
Yeah.
Let's use
Oh.
this to roll over into our second segment. But before we do
Sure.
that, we're going to talk about the flagship show of the Game Over Network channel, Hyperdrive Hockey. All things hockey access across various leagues in multiple countries, whatever it is and wherever it is. Max, Daphne, and Kev have you all covered for all of your hockey news and a steady dose of fun and fan engagement. You can find Hyperdrive Hockey on the Game Over Network below, on the YouTube channel, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Check out Hyperdrive Hockey. Please make sure you hit like. Make sure you hit subscribe. If you are new here, or if maybe you're just joining us, my name is Lauren. Over here on the other hand side of the screen is Dom, and we are just about to get back into the second period of Leafs action, talking about the power play, which, like you said, I hated to stop you before your rant there. Yeah, apparently the problem with the Leafs power play has been their highest paid forward and the center and captain of the team, Auston Matthews. That was, again, that's where I'm coming in with like the monkey fist. Like, oh, the power play is so good, but it's going to be because your captain's away and you're not playing well without him, except on the power play, which you're going to be marvelous at. This was not on my bingo card last week when you guys were live streaming and I said, when is the next time the Leafs are going to get a power play goal? That was not what I meant by this. So what do you make of that silly statistic?
It's a weird quirk of this team that when Auston Matthews, like objectively the best player on this team, one of the top 5, if not 3, if not 2 players in the world.
Yep.
When he goes down, they somehow play better. Or not even, it's not that they play better. It's just they have incredible success. And I don't know if it's an element of, okay, Austin's not here, everybody pull your weight a little bit more. I don't know if it's that. I don't know if the lineup gets a little bit more balanced because you don't have 4, huge forwards, expected to do everything at the top, and then a bunch of whatever you can fill in for the rest of the lineup. I don't know what it is, but as soon as he went down, as soon as the report came out that he went down, I'm like, they're about to have a winning record until he's back. That's just how it always goes. So when they beat Boston on Tuesday, which it was nice to see a blue team win on Tuesday. There wasn't enough of that. But when they did that, I wasn't expecting it to be quite a 4-0 shutout, but I wasn't completely surprised either. And then they carried that over into tonight. And it wouldn't shock me if they roll it into tomorrow as well, because that just seems to be how they do. And I'm going to give them sort of the benefit of the doubt and say that it's everybody pulling their weight, saying Austin isn't here, so everybody has to do a little bit more to make up for the fact that he isn't here. But somehow that's what has made things work. And maybe with the power play, there is an element. This team, they love to get the puck to Austin. They love to do that. And when you take that away, you take away their favorite toy, they have to get a little bit more creative. And maybe I'm not saying this is what they should do, but maybe there's a case to be made that Austin has to have his own power play unit and then the other big guns go all together on their own thing. Because extremely small sample size, 2 games. But you compare it to the larger sample size, that was bad. This 2 games, as I said, 5 for 9, very, very good. So either they have to figure out how to utilize Austin when he's here, utilize Matthews, so that they aren't just going to him, and teams either figure out how to defend that, or they just don't get creative in other ways to get the goals, or they got to find some way of keeping this unit sans Matthews together, which feels wrong and feels weird. So it's the other thing. They got to find a way to say, all right, you are here, Austin. We're going to utilize your skills, that 69 goals you got last year. A good number of them come on the power play. We're going to utilize that, but we're not just exclusively going to go to you. We're going to try and use these other tactics that worked really well in the last 2 games. I mean, the Tavares goal, the one that is presently the second one, we'll call it the second goal. I haven't seen them score a power play goal like that in a while, but that feels like a power play goal that John Tavares is very capable of scoring on a regular basis. So let's do that some more. The Marner Willie passing play that where they come basically right off the zone entry, go right to the net, passing the puck back and forth, shot, rebound, chaos. So much chaos we don't even know who scored it, and there it's in the net. Like, do that more often. Don't just try and feed it to Matthews and hope that he can do his magic.
I wonder if maybe part of it is that so let's talk about that first goal, right? The William Nylander and Mitch Marner, gain the zone, pass to Willie, pass back, Mitch shoots, gets his own rebound, boom, it's in the back of the net. And that is the result of, like you said, getting in the zone and driving the net. And it starts with two players that are not generally known for driving the net right from the zone in Mitch Marner and William Nylander. And so it does kind of fluster the other team when that happens because, oh my God, it's not even the guys we were expecting. Mitch Marner, for all of his wonderful things, he is kind of known as somebody who does tend to stick around the perimeter. He doesn't really get in the mud between the two face-off circles that frequently. When he does, and several times this year when he has created a screen that led to a goal, or he has actually gotten a very good rebound opportunity and buried it, or just barely missed it. I wonder if part of the reason that the power play isn't clicking is because they insist on having Auston Matthews over by the one face-off dot. Now, Auston Matthews can drive the net. He's able to, but it's not where he's at his best. And it feels like they want him in a position where he can do the things that he does sort of off. He's good right in the slot, but he's better, I would say, like maybe 10 to 12 feet away from the net is where he's like most lethal. And the problem is that the goals that they are getting are a result of driving the net. And so they're having a hard time marrying those two things together. So maybe when he does come back, you do say, listen, Austin, we love you, man. Happy you're back. Welcome back, big guy. But this first unit has been great. So you're going to be on the second unit. And if that doesn't work, then we will go back to that. But what was working before, or what wasn't working before, is now fixed in its own way. So we're just gonna try it just for a game, just like trying William Nylander at center, just for the game, just to see if you like it, just to see if you like it. And worst case scenario, it doesn't work and he gets mad. Okay, well, instead of getting mad, play better.
Yeah.
And maybe part of it is a mentality thing where, they say, look, guys, we can make, action and good things happen on the power play with lots of money on the ice in front of us. And maybe they are just trying too hard to try and get things through him. Instead of just treating him like he's another player in blue and white, they're thinking, oh, but I got to pass it to Auston Matthews. Again, one of the greatest goal scorers by the end of his career, likely, for his time. Yeah. Maybe it is just you're overthinking it, and you need to not look at everything from here down, and ignore the C. I don't know. Yeah,
and if they were to do this, which knowing it, just watching this team, it feels like what will happen is Austin will come back. They'll slot him back onto the main power play unit. They'll try the 5 forwards thing again. Yeah, they won't do this. But if they were to do it, like let's just see it through a little bit, like. He'd be out there with Domi. We saw what they could accomplish together. Like that's not a bad thing. You put out Robertson, McMahon. Like there's some power forwards there. You could there's a power forward there in McMahon. There's someone else who can shoot in Robertson. There's another threat, and then throw OEL out there as well to kind of run that unit to quarterback it. Like. It's not like we'd be throwing him out there with Lorentz, Kampf, and Reeves. Like there's still like, there's still like quality players that he would be going out there with, even if it's not the usual Tavares, Marner, Willie, and Nyes.
Yeah, and that's just it, right? There's even if on the second power play unit, I know they don't mind having 2 defensemen. You could have you could have Timmins Riley, just for kicks, or Timmins OEL, whatever. With like you said, you could do Pacioretty and Domi, and you could put Nick Robertson, or some iteration of that, right? Like it's obvious that part of what needs to happen is they just need to continue their buy-in. Yeah. Just more into Craig's system and more into this way of driving the net, of just saying to everybody, listen, you're going to try, you keep having these bad habits of trying to play with all this extra floof and sparkle and dazzle.
Flair. Yeah.
Yes, so much. How many pieces of flair do you have? Minimum is 16. Instead of that, just play simplistic, drive the net, and be first on the forecheck hockey, and make the other team think twice about when they get it, right? And that's not something that the Leafs have been able to do, and it looks like they're starting to slowly buy in. And now that it's happening on the power play, maybe even though I'm sure that this is going to even out, right? Like we're like well above 50% on the power play in the last 2 games, apparently, which is fabulous. But again, monkey paw, right? That's going to median out. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, just what you're saying about like the buy-in to Berube's style of play. Like that's what I'm hoping is that when we get to the end of the season and we look back on the start of the year, this first month and a bit, like what we'll look back at it as the growing pains, where you were taking this team that has been very successful in the regular season for the last few years, despite their lack of playoff success, and putting a new coach in charge of it, and getting that new coach to get these guys to see that his way can work, and they have to buy. If they buy in, they may actually have more success, and they'll have the success where it matters. And there's a tension there at the start, because what used to work is not always what Berube is going to want to do, and so that tension can go one of 2 ways. It can create a situation that we don't want, where they tune him out and they stop listening to the coach and everything falls apart, or they can see they can find a way to work together and make something really great happen. The best things tend to come out of tension. The best art, the best creatives, the best teams, there's always tension there. Now, I'm not advocating for the old timer Mike Babcock style of tension. Yeah, none of that bullshit. But like I want you to try this. It's Berube saying to let's say Matthews saying, I want you to try this, and Matthews saying, but I want to do it this way, and the two of them kind of butting heads, but also agreeing to both try it the other person's way a little bit. Maybe you find a third way, and that's the way that actually gets you through. And then they look at each other and they go, this is the way, like they're Mandalorians, and they charge into the playoffs, and who knows where you wind up.
Yeah,
but that's the hope.
Yeah, man, pressure makes diamonds.
Exactly.
Pressure makes diamonds. So yeah, I obviously the Leafs power play I'm sure is going to median out in terms of its success rate. I'm sure we'll come back to a somewhat normal level. It's still on the rapid ascension, which that would be fine for another week if we could toss another 8% on that. Get around 25. That'd be pretty happy. Be pretty happy about that. And on the power play tonight, like you said, we're going to move into I'm going to tease the third period here. We're going to talk about the person that is tied for third in scoring with the player that is not out right now for the Leafs. And we're going to talk about that all in the third period. But first, we're going to talk to you a little bit about how Game Over Network is an independent production focused on community, inclusion, and quality people. If you're interested in supporting the Game Over Network, we have crowdfunding options available. In the description of this episode, right down here, you'll find a link to our Patreon page, and we're also working on a page through LaRouche, a crowdfunding platform for companies originating in Quebec, which is where Andrew Berkshire unfortunately has to live. But for LaRouche, we're aiming to gain around $15,000. If we hit that goal, we're getting access to all kinds of government grants that will allow us to employ more people and get more people on this wonderful network and get us with more merchandising, with more advertising, and get more people in on the goods here that we have on Game Over. So if you have any questions, if you have any ideas of how we could raise money, anything like that, please put it down in the chat box down below, or leave a comment if you're here after the fact. And so let's roll over into our third period and talk about the person that was noticeably not the person that was selected to go up for the Hockey Hall of Fame ceremonial puck drop at the beginning of this, and the Leafs' former captain John Tavares on a heater for the last couple of games. Boy, when JT is, or when Matthews is out, the alternate captains really do a lot to step up. Last game and this game, Mitch Marner was the hero of last game more than once, and John Tavares tonight was just unbelievable. Originally it was Marner's goal, and then it was changed to John Tavares' goal, and then afterwards at the end it was changed back to Marner. So he was, like we said at the beginning of this, a stolen and has hat trick stolen from his clutches. But he's been phenomenal tonight. What did you like about how his play has been the last couple of games and tonight's game specifically?
Well, I feel like this is the John Tavares that when he was first brought in, this is the version that was on those original teams. This is the guy who scored, what was it, 47 goals in his first season as a Leaf. This was the John Tavares that we were sold on, that we were excited to be brought in. And by and large, through his tenure as a Leaf, he has been that. He's been a very good, excellent player. But there have been several dips in more recent memory. And I always feel like John starts the season hot, so I'll be curious to watch him through the end of this season. But there were a few times where you're watching that play going, oh, right, this was the guy. This was the guy who, led Team Canada in the World Juniors, who was, the star on the Islanders, and who, merited those $11 million, salaries over all these years. Like, this was the guy. And again, it's a weird thing to think about. It's a weird situation that Auston Matthews, William Nylander, Mitch Marner, and John Tavares have found themselves in, where on any other team, they're the best player. Mm-hmm. Just about any other team. Yeah. They're the best player. But because they're all together, sometimes what they do, disappears into the background because the other lights are shining so brightly. Or there just are less opportunities for them to do what they do so well. And I feel like Tavares, because he's the oldest, because he's, reaching the twilight of his career, he's still got a few years to go, but he's getting, that next contract is probably either his last or his second last. And if it's his last, that will be more than, sort of the Jason Spezza, league min, let me just stick around on a team that maybe has a chance deal. But like if he had, say, signed with the Sharks back in summer 2018?
Yep.
If he had done that, then I think we'd be seeing John Tavares highlights a lot more frequently, because these sorts of things that he's doing tonight that are being brought to the forefront because the brightest light of them all is currently in the press box. Mm-hmm. He would be doing that, and all the eyes would be on him on a different team, be it the Sharks, be it one of the other teams that was trying to sign him. But because of the situation that we have here with the core four, he sometimes just sort of falls into the background, does his part, but isn't quite as he isn't as flashy as the other three. But it is, again, that's not to say he isn't declining. He's not the player he was in 2018, but he still has those skills. Those skills haven't completely gone away, and in fact, they're still there, and they're still pretty effective. And it's nice to get to see them in a game like this.
Sure, and like you said, maybe tonight, even though he is probably facing the other team's best line, I doubt that the Domi, Marner, Anais line sees as much attention as the second line, just because the second line of Pacioretty, Nylander, and Tavares has been so good in the last, since they've been put together, essentially. Even if they aren't the team that's scoring every night, they're scoring every night that they're playing, essentially, at least once. So, even that first goal that Tavares puts in, it's a very quick catch, turn, release goal that looks weirdly like the goal in the same spot against Tampa a couple of years ago. It was not the same goal, because it had a whole different entry and exit route, that goal. But it was a very similar, like down sort of body away from the net, and you just turn and snap and bang, it was in. And it was almost identical to the spot where Dylan Larkin scored 5 minutes before that.
That was what was crazy. It was like, we're just going to trade those goals.
Yeah.
Each team gets one of those tonight, and we'll call it even.
Everybody gets one. So, for that, with 9 minutes to go, the Leafs, all night, Stolarz was very good. This game very easily could have gone into the last, it only went into the third period, the last 10 minutes of the third period, only 2-1, right? It was a very tight game for the whole thing. And he was sublime tonight. He's been so good on the power play. That power play with him has looked good, and he has been a big part of all of those, of the good things that the power play has been able to do. So I'm happy for him. Like you said, there's a lot that he doesn't get thanked for on this team, because there are, if you haven't been to Toronto, there are a lot of very tall buildings. And I remember when I first moved into the big city when it was 2009, I moved into the Maple Leaf Square condominiums at 65 and 55 Bremner Boulevard. I was there before the pool was filled in. It did not have water. I was living in the building at the same time as DeMar DeRozan. And when I was living there, I was living on the 35th floor. It was the highest I had ever lived at that point. And I remember living in those buildings and being like, wow, we're so high up now. And at the time, there was nothing between those buildings and the waterfront that was taller. Not between them and the lake. That was it. It was very close. And now, when I drive downtown, I'm like, where did that building go that I lived in for a year? Because it's no longer the tallest building, right? Everything gets overshadowed. It's a perfect euphemism for what you just said. If JT was on the Sharks, him and Celebrini are the highlight reel every night. Yeah. And there are the tag team duo of the century over in San Jose, for sure. Yeah. But if John had gotten there, there's a chance that they wouldn't have Celebrini, because they probably would have done better. They would have scored more goals. You know who could really use somebody that scored 11 points so far this season is the New York Islanders. Funnily enough, they are driving the struggle bus in the NHL right now. And despite the fact that I am sure that they, till the end of time, will say, boo, you who wore pajamas as a child, I think it would be the funniest troll ever if at the end of his career, JT went and signed a 1-year contract on the island. Yeah. Just to be like, you thought I was gone. That would be the funniest thing ever.
He should show up to the first press conference or where they signed the thing in Islanders pajamas, just to really mess with them.
Oh my God.
I want to say, Tavares, I don't want to focus too much on an empty net goal, but that's one of the better empty net goals we've seen, because he just exposed the Red Wings' offense and their defense, and he just saw an opportunity and he went in there and took it. The goalie had just gone to the bench. Talbot had just gone to the bench. They hadn't even gotten it over their own blue line, and he just went mine and shot it in the back of the net. That. You don't overemphasize empty net goals, but sort of like the Auston Matthews one from the other night where he banked it off the boards and went in from the other end of the ice. It takes skill to pull off something like that, to just go in there and say, and it takes a good hockey IQ to see that the other team is kind of futzing around with the puck. They're not ready. In fact, it looks a lot like certain Leafs zone entries on the power play, and go, oh, here's an opportunity. Allow me to exploit it. Here's my second or third goal of the game.
I'm sorry, is this your attention to detail? And then he stuffed it down their throats. Yeah, it was like you said, Talbot had left the net maybe 8 seconds before that. the guys are still coming on the ice, and they have the puck in their own zone, 4 feet from the blue line, and they're like, do, 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 and John's like, thanks very much, excuse me, I'm going to be doing this, and instead of, getting the extra man advantage with, what was it, like 2.5 minutes to go at the end of the game, no, there is no reason to put your goalie back in because we just scored on your empty net, and it was just little thinking, man. Attention to detail is so much in hockey. And how many plays have we seen throughout the whole league so far this year where little attention to detail leads the game to go the other way, or it leads to the complete momentum swing? Like, Detroit probably felt pretty good going into the last 5 minutes there because at the end of the game, they were really pushing. They were getting a couple, maybe not as long as the Leafs at the beginning of the third period, but a couple really good sustained zone pressure opportunities. They just weren't able to bury it. And so, if they gain the zone and they have the extra man, I mean, the Leafs have been pretty good with the other team having an extra person so far this year. But it is to some degree a dice roll, right? And so for JT to just like take it upon himself and just say, okay, I'm just going to, thanks very much, and bury this for my team is like that's what you want to see, and I'm sure he feels good about that. Like, I know Stoli has the belt from the other night from that shutout, and what a wicked game. I would be surprised if JT doesn't get it tonight.
Yeah, I feel like he's due. And I will say, there isn't we're not a Red Wings podcast. There isn't a game over Detroit yet, but if there were, I feel like they would be hammering the coaching staff for taking the goalie out in that situation. Not to take anything away from JT. He exposed a whole bunch of dumb things that were happening on the Red Wings side because there was no reason. There was still over 2 minutes, I think, left in the game. There was no reason to take him out while your players are still in the offensive zone. Get the puck over the red line, get it into the Leaf zone, then get him out of there.
Yeah.
Get
at least
some momentum and
at least gain the
zone. It'd be one thing if there were 30 seconds left in the game and you're like, now. I think there was at one point in the playoffs last year, the Leafs kind of had to do that where it was almost like Samsonov was like coming up the ice with the team. So like sometimes you have to do it, but that was not a situation where you had to do it. So if I were a Red Wings fan right now, I'd be taking a long look and raising an eyebrow at
a very firm finger shaking for those gentlemen on that bench. A very firm shake harder, boy. So before we get over into our overtime period, make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe, make sure you subscribe to all of the Game Over networks, not just Toronto's. I know that tomorrow we are playing Leafs versus the Canadiens, and I believe Zach is going to be on with Andrew. I believe that is a Leafs home game, or is that in Montreal again?
I think it's in Montreal.
Okay, so in that case, tomorrow you will have to go to the Game Over Montreal network. So make sure you go and like and follow it now. Make sure you hit subscribe and make sure you hit the bell so that you know tomorrow when it's going to go on, because if you don't, you're not going to get the same notifications. And while we're talking about that,
it's a Leafs home game.
Excellent. Then still go follow Montreal, but just do it more because I asked you nicely. That's why.
Yeah.
Before we do that, though, I want to tell you that last week I was in Chicago, and on Saturday I did go have Pequod's Pizza, and I was watching, I think, the Blackhawks playing the Kings while I was eating this pizza. And while I was in Pequod's Pizza, Dom is going to vanish here for a second. While I was having that Pequod's Pizza, I was actually wearing my Game Over Toronto apparel, the exact shirt that is on the screen right now. I was wearing that. I was representing very proudly. I was wearing my PWHL Toronto hat and my Game Over Toronto shirt, and I could not have been happier stuffing pizza in my face. And you can get your own copy of this t-shirt, actually, from the Game Over Network merch shop. So what better way to support something you love than by rocking its clothing? The Game Over Network's apparel line has dropped with 3 unique designs. Whether you feel the nostalgic pull of our retro skater design, whether you want to make a statement through our established design, or whether you want to wear your love for goalies proudly on your sleeve by wearing our Live and Die by the Goalie design, or if you just need another coffee to get you through the winter, we have you covered. Designed by Brady Chalis from Game Over Winnipeg, use the QR code that is on the screen right now to make sure you look through our apparel store and rebuild local sports media in Canada while ripping your favorite community. Because I don't know if there's anything I love more than wearing my Game Over merch. And someone goes, "Are you from Game Over Toronto?" Oh, it's only happened a couple of times, but it feels so amazing. So please get the merch. It's super comfortable. I normally wear like a large. I got a large in the t-shirt, and it fits a gem. So make sure you go check that out. Also, the hoodies. are very soft. If you remember the in the before times when we had merch with another company that I can't remember the name of, we had a very nice line of hoodies that were Champion brand that were so comfortable. And I am very pleased to report that the new hoodies, the Game Over hoodies, that we still have that are new for our merch now as we're an independent company are phenomenal. They're super comfy. I got mine in an extra large and it's super comfy and cozy. So please make sure you go check out the merch. Make sure you check out the website. On there, you'll find our player cards. You'll find it not only for Toronto, but for all of the networks, from the Game On crew, from the Hyperdrive Hockey that we spoke about earlier. Please go make sure you check out the website. It is really phenomenal. The shipping does take I think 5 or 6 days, but it's worth it for the clothing. Trust me. I work here. I'm not just paid to say this, but buy the merchandise. It's really nice. So let's bring Dom's handsome face back over here and let's talk about what do you want to talk about for overtime? Do you have anything you want to touch on really quick while I pull up the questions?
I just want to say about the merch. If for the Live and Die by goalie, I think we need to get a updated Toronto one where the goalie does not have a glove, but they're holding the puck in the bare hand. And we need the Stolar's version, Stolar's edition.
Oh man!
Of
should he be holding the little robot head? Come on! Oh, someone! I'm gonna pay someone on Fiverr for that. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I see in the chat we were wondering who would get the belt. Robertson got the belt.
Oh,
I guess that makes up for not getting a goal.
There it is. There it is.
You get your goal, get your good goal called back.
Oh, and Stoli would have given it to him. Come on, come on. See, and that just proves that we're right.
Yes,
we're the smartest people in the universe. Dom, did I ever tell you?
Yeah, exactly. That we are.
Yeah, absolutely. I heard Joe Bowen mention another goalie who dropped his stick a lot, and he has more mobility. Dominic Hasek, I believe he was all right, wasn't he? Yeah, I think that rings a bell. I mean, he played for an unfortunate team on the other side of the 401 in QEW, but, that's a them problem. Is Matthews being out what fixed it? Meaning we've been screaming for them to change it up, and with the number one guy out, they were forced to. I mean... That's as good as a reason as I've heard. Honestly, it's as good as a reason we've given on the show.
It's weirdly it makes a certain amount of sense. Yep. Like we talked about, sometimes when you're forced to make change, that's what actually brings out something good.
Yep.
So it's possible.
And in the words of Taylor Swift, my boy only breaks his favorite toys. So I get that. Obviously, she was right. Okay, when Matthews gets back, they don't change how they proceed. Go to the net. Matthews can also pick up rebounds. Music for Al, that is 100% true. Auston Matthews is no stranger to going to the net and being an absolute menace within a couple feet of it. His ability to read play and puck track and traffic is... I mean, it's just absurd. I don't think he's as skilled as a couple other people, but there is a tweet that came up, and I want to find it really quickly here, where someone asked Patrick Kane about what Matthews is like to play against in comparison to Datsuk. Where did I find that? Here, we're going to talk about, really quick, why don't you talk about something fun while I look for this tweet about Kane and Matthews?
I mean, you talk about Patrick Kane is, he was in this game. He wasn't really a factor in it, unfortunately. But you are having two of the all-time great, American players going up against each other. And any time that something like that happens, that's pretty special. And I think Kane has definitely passed the torch, but there's a reason why, looking ahead to the Four Nations tournament, everybody's got their eyes on the Americans. It's because they are
stacked.
They are stacked. They are that good, and it's been a slow build up for that team, and it's not going to be a surprise if they win the same way it was when they won the first World Cup of hockey in 1990, whatever. It's a for our American friends, it's a good time to be a hockey fan, at least.
Congratulations 5 months in advance. No, it's true though, because they're stacked up front and behind them. Like, you get to play on a line, like the top line is going to be something like absolutely absurd. Like,
yeah,
I don't know, pick whatever left wing you want. Matthews, then Patrick Kane. Like, wow.
Wild.
Like,
just wild.
So I did find the quote. Nick Barden, actually a friend of the show and friend of mine, wonderful guy Nick Barden. If you don't follow him on Twitter, please do. He's at Nick Barden on X. Sorry, not Twitter. Patrick Kane said there isn't a player like Datsuk, but Auston Matthews resembles him. Quote, maybe Austin's more of a shooter, but as far as playing both ends of the ice and being able to strip guys of the puck and turn it into offense, I think that's where they're pretty similar. I mean, Patrick Kane, you know, by the time he's done hockey, will probably be in the top 2 best Americans of all time in the NHL. And for him to have played with both of those players in different circumstances, obviously, you know, Kaner and Poppy haven't played together on a line yet. I am positive that will change in the new year because growing up, Patrick Kane was Auston Matthews' one of his favorite players, along with Joss Stone. But that was the player that he really emulated in terms of his style and everything else. So that's going to be phenomenal to watch. You know, extra shout out to the Hockey Hall of Fame inductees that were inducted tonight. There was a number of them. You know, congratulations to all of you that made it. I hope
except Colin Campbell.
Yeah.
Except him.
Except that guy. It's not
all the other ones.
It's not the Hockey Hall of good guys, right? Isn't that what they always say?
Yeah.
And so, you know, congratulations to all those people that won that. But I don't know, man. Matthews is pretty good, and for Patrick Kane, who's gonna go down as one of the greatest to ever do it for the Stars and Stripes, that's a pretty big compliment.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, we forget Patrick Kane at his peak was one of the best players in the world. Like, you know, those.
He was so scary to see coming down the other way, man. Like, what year were you born?
Me? Oh, 94.
Oh, Jesus, I'm old. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I remember, like, when he first broke into the league, and I remember when him and Taves were, like, like, when they stepped on the ice, like, you could feel your heart beating in your ears. That's what it felt like. And it was just like, oh, God, please keep the puck away from those two, because they were just so, like, telepathically. It was like they were, it was like not even they shared a brain cell, but they had, like, the twin thing. If you've seen, like, Haunting of Hill House.
Twin telepathy.
Yeah. They had the twin thing. That's what it was like to see them in the middle of their heyday. And so, like, I mean, he probably couldn't have gotten a better compliment up to this point in his life. So, shame that he wasn't able to play tonight. I know that he loves playing against Kaner, but, you know, I think if I heard on the broadcast correctly, that's only the first of 4 interactions we have with the Red Wings this year. So, hopefully Matthews is back for at least the next one. So I think that's all we got for tonight. So, like I said 100 times in the stream, please make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe. Tell all your friends about Game Over and that we are going to be live with the Habs fans tomorrow here on Game Over Toronto, because it is going to be a head-to-head tomorrow. Leafs Habs Saturday Night Hockey. It's hard to beat. Dom, where can everybody find you on all the socials, buddy?
You can find me at Dominic J25 on Twitter and Instagram. Instagram is my preferred place. And if you want to talk some Star Wars, you can check out the Star Wars Underworld. We had a great show this week with some exciting things are brewing in the Star Wars world. So tune in to learn all about that.
The midi-chlorians are percolating through my whole body. And you can find me on Twitter at Lauren in the Six. You can find me on Threads. Good luck trying to get a hold of me. But you can find me on there, the Freckled Lauren. Please make sure you do that. And like I said before, make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe. And we will see you back tomorrow on Game Over Toronto when it is head-to-head against the Habs. Let's roll and get this win streak going, and let's make Andrew cry tomorrow. Have a great night, everybody. We will see you then.